If I hadn't given up 1,000,000 times, I still wouldn't be in ministry. Because ministry is what is really designed, I think, to push us against the wall in terms of whether this is about us or about somebody else. Richard Maureen Levy, Richard was a minister downtown Seattle for the last 5 years, and they left a year ago before my wife Karen took over. And so they came back last week, and they stayed with us for a couple of days. They're good friends of ours. And he and his wife have been doing a traveling ministry, and they've been going to church, speaking on Sundays. And he was telling me that a couple of weeks ago, he went to a church. It wasn't a Unity church. It was a New Thought church. And this fellow had started the church about 8, 9 years ago. He was a music director. He came out of another New Thought church, and he'd been ordained, and he was a music director there. So he started this church, and it had grown to about 140 people. But it hadn't grown for about 3 or 4 years. In other words, it grew kind of fast, and it hadn't grown for 3 or 4 years. And so Richard was asking him, "What are you doing?" And he said, well, he does everything. He works 60 hours a week preparing for the Sunday service. He does the music. He writes original music. He writes original poetry for his lessons. He prepares his lesson. He does everything. And he's burnt out. And the result, they're not the results that he's expecting. He's expecting to have a megachurch. He's expecting to have 2,000 people on Sunday. He's got this expectation in his head because that's the kind of church that he came out of. He's got this in his head, and he is not yet willing to give up because it's not about him. And you can't call somebody and say, "Well, gee, it's time to give up." You can't do that. But you can see that Spirit is moving him against a place in which he has to transform himself in order for him to be effective in ministry. Because he's trying to do it all himself, and he's burning himself out. And ministry is not about me. It's about God moving through each of us, through the we. And if God doesn't move through the we, there's no ministry. Otherwise, it's just a show. And that's not what this is about. And so that's what happens to us. Every time I've ever come up against the wall about what my thought and expectations are, there's been a moment when I've had to give up. I give up. I'm not willing to try to do everything. I need to give up. If I'm not supposed to be doing this, then I won't be doing this. You have to keep that constant reminder that goes through our heads. Well, that's true in our lives. What's true in ministry is true in our own life because our life really is about ministry. It really is about being the fullest expression of God that we can be, whatever it is. And so when we come up against the wall in any circumstance in our life, it's about giving up and giving it to God. And really, that's the ultimate act of giving, is when we give it up. I want to close by sharing my poem today. And I'm going to show a little YouTube clip after the song that kind of relates more to the last several weeks of giving than it does today. And so I just want to prepare you for that. After the song, there'll be a short clip prior to the offering blessing. So the title of my poem is I Give Up. I give up. It is just not mine to do, at least to do it alone. They tell me never to give up, but I thought if I am more than my body, more than my mind, more than my thoughts, then there is always more that I don't know, more than I can know, more than is mine to do. So I have done it all I can, tried everything I could think of, gone down the normal paths, and I'm still not happy. Some things have worked. I've taken steps forward, accomplished a few things, but that isn't enough. It will never be enough, because there is never enough when I think it is about me or my personal achievement. I am really my divine body, not my physical one. So why leave the divine out? Why not let the divine in? Why not open the door willingly before I'm back against the wall, before I'm in despair, before I get lost in frustration? I give up. I give it to God. I give it all away. That is my choice right now. And so it is.